All right, guys, today we're going to talk contract to close. We have this cheat sheet for you guys in the Google Drive, but I wanted to walk through it on a video just so you guys can hear how we explain it and how we go about, closing these deals once we get the contract fully executed. So, first step is going to be making sure you have a fully executed contract by both buyer and seller, along with any loan supplement that is required. And if it's a cash deal, you are not required a supplement. You'll just need to add a proof of funds into your broker mint. Step 2, craft up an email to your preferred title company. Now, we would recommend using a title company that is local to the area of the property, or local maybe to your both buyer and seller, or your client that you're representing. If you're on the buying side, you get to choose the title company typically. Now, if you're just representing the selling side, it's a little bit different. So, the next thing you're going to do is order a survey. Now, this is if you're representing the buyer or both parties. If you do not have a surveyor is required to obtain, or you're required to obtain a survey if you're getting a loan on the property. Now, if it's a cash deal, I still recommend getting a survey. But if your client chooses not to, just make sure you make them aware of the consequences if something does come back when they do finally get a survey and they end up with less acreage. So just keeping your client in the know on things like that. The next thing you're going to do is set up a time with your buyer, if you're representing the buyer, to go inspect the property. So in the contract, it's a typical 10-day inspection period. You can stretch that out. I would suggest stretching it out if your buyer is out of state and is not able to make it there within a two-week span, and those are 10 business days, so Monday to Friday for 2 weeks. So hopefully they're able to get in there and check the property out. If not, go ahead and stretch that date out. During the inspection period, you want to look at, if it's a home, obviously you're going to have a licensed professional come out and inspect the entire home. But if it's on the land, you're going to need professionals to come out and look at, potential water wells, and I would say water wells that aren't working. The fencing, septic, electric, access. You're going to want to do your due diligence on all of that, just to make sure your buyer is buying a property that is free and clear of any issues that they are unaware of. The next one is you're going to provide your seller or buyer with a weekly update throughout the closing process. Communication is key. You want to make sure everyone is in the know throughout the entire process, whether it's a 30-day close, 60-day close, or 120-day close. You want to make sure that everyone is kept up to date. They know what's going on at all times. Now, it doesn't always have to be weekly. It can be every other week. Talk to your client, ask them how often they would like to keep updates, but just make sure you're keeping everyone in the know. Step 6, anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks before closing, you're going to receive a title commitment and or settlement statement. In that title commitment, there will be certain requirements that both buyer and seller must do prior to closing. A lot of the times these things come back free and clear. You're good to go, get everything closed. But if there's any liens on the property from the selling side, or any clouds in title, this is where that will come up, and you guys will be able to work through it with the title company, figure out what you need to do or what your client needs to do, and then you'll be able to report back to them and let them know, hey, such and such came up. This is what we need to do to fix it. This is how we fix it. So making sure you get the answer from the title company to the problem, or solution to the problem, before calling your client with a problem. And that's kind of the key to being a real estate agent. You're a problem solver. So most of the time these things come back free and clear, but if not, just know you need to get the answer to, or the solution to the problem before reporting to your client, so you don't send anyone over the edge there. Step 7, you're going to want to send a DA sheet from Broker Mint. The DA sheet's a disbursement agreement that shows what your commission is and what you're getting paid. Those will need to be sent up to Brenton. Once those are approved by Brenton, he'll give you the thumbs up, and you're able to send that over to the title company. And that's you can do it the day before closing. I would suggest doing it the week before closing if you get enough heads up that you guys know that you're closing on a Friday. You get the clear to close on Monday. Go ahead and send that DA sheet up to B so he can approve it and then move forward. And then you can send it over to the title company and move forward with that transaction. Schedule closing and obtain closing gifts. So checking with your client everyone works a 9 to 5 these days, so making sure they're, don't go set a time at noon on a Monday. Make sure your client's okay with what time they're going to close. Talk to both parties and figure out when a good time for them to schedule that closing. Typically, Friday closings in the morning are the best for most people, and that's just a suggestion that I typically try to schedule mine on Friday. And then the closing gift, try to be creative in your closing gifts. It can be anything and everything. Learn a little bit about your client, develop a friendship or a little bit of relationship with them. Figure out what they like to do. Recently I did represented a client on a first-time land purchase, and so I put together a first-time land buyer closing gift, and it was just anything from knives to bug spray to Yeti cups, stuff like that. Just a nice little gift, and that's also going to help them remember you when it comes time to do business again, or when they refer you out to one of their friends who's also in the market. Step 9, ensure buyer and seller has everything they need in order to close. So most title companies are going to require 2 forms of ID before you can come in and close the deal. So when they walk into the title company, they'll hand them their ID, they'll scan it, and then they'll get situated in their closing room, and you guys will be able to close the transaction. Now, if you're on the buying side, typically the buyer's going to need to bring a check to closing. So let's try to make sure they're bringing a check to closing, and make sure that amount is correct in what's on the settlement statement. And then step 10 is the good part. You're going to close the deal, receive your commission check, and put it in the bank. Now I'm going to scroll down here to the Exhibit A. This is the email I referenced in step 2. After you get a contract or fully executed contract, you're going to attach the fully executed contract. On this one, it was being split off a bigger piece, so I included an Exhibit A of the property. And then the survey attached to it, since they already did a survey on the property. And then I just lined out all the client details. I represented both parties on this, so I made sure to, under the client details, list my sellers, list my buyers, what type of loan they're getting, your commission, size of acreage, projected closing date that you put on the contract, the buyer's lender, all the necessary items that they need. Make sure you're putting this in this format. This just helps the closer stay organized, knows who you're representing, knows the commission, and answers a lot of questions up front where typically they're going to call you on the back end of things. So hope this was helpful. Appreciate it.